Well, I think we're live streaming, but I'm just waiting for Facebook to confirm that. Good morning. Yes, still morning. Absolutely still morning. Happy Monday, October 3rd. Yesterday was my dad's birthday. It's got to be the 3rd. Okay. I'm pretty excited. I was a little bit worried that I'd bitten off more than I can chew in the sense of doing this live rather than having that time to reflect and all of those things. So what I did is I took a minute to take a quick read of Audrey's post and make sure that I was totally prepared. And I was pleasantly surprised. So just to say hello, because if you're new to the club and you've not met me before, then you don't know who the heck I am and what I'm doing here live. Hello. My name is Danielle Wilson, and I'm the mentor and coach that started this group and try to provide lots of great value and training for you all. I'm just going to see, hey, Karen, I see you there. Look at that. I got it all set up. Getting better with the technology. So I am the coach and mentor in this group, and what I am known best for is helping my clients to create consistent income. It seems like a really broad statement, right? And it kind of is because it is. Good morning, Taylor. It kind of is because I am a lot older than I look, and I've been in business for a very long time. I've been building multi-million-dollar businesses, both for myself and for others, for almost 36 years now. I just had my birthday last month. It's been about 36 years. I started my very first business of my own when I was 17 years old. So being an entrepreneur is something that's always been in my bones. My mom and my dad both had their own companies at one point or another. So this is something that's always been modeled for me, along with that whole, work hard Protestant work ethic kind of thing, where I was raised in a house with workaholics. I almost said alcoholics. I meant workaholics though. And unfortunately learned that behavior myself and have spent my entire life working a minimum of 2 jobs, typically 3 jobs. And to be honest with you, I even went to university full-time while working full-time in 2 jobs. So I am the kind of person that has ridiculous energy and a lot of experience and a wide range of it. So when I first came into the coaching space, I wanted to help people with mindset, because that's something that is very important to me. Quickly realized that actually I can't help but give business advice. So it's something I'm really passionate about. So helping clients to create sustainable businesses that create consistent income, that's what I'm all about. So we do that through a variety of means, and it really depends on what it is that you need in your business in terms of how I can support you best. So because of that, I don't have one single offer that is a way that you can work with me. I have a lot of different ways. Some of them are group programs, some of them are individual, and 2 of them actually are even to just have a monthly membership to my learning portal where I do all kinds of videos and I'm constantly uploading new ones. But it really depends on where you need the most help. And what I'm learning is that where most people want the most help and believe they need the most help is not in their sales skills, which is something that I've been teaching for 25 years, is how to increase your conversion rate. And my success rate with that is to help people get to above a 70% consistent close rate in a variety of industries. So whether it's retail, consumer packaged goods, healthcare, oh my gosh, I can't even name all of the industries. Anyway, all over the place. I've even done restaurants. Anyway, so that was where I was, but now I'm learning that it's about the content. And because I do talk a lot about how to prevent objections in content, it seems like kind of that's the best spot to kind of help you really get over a hump, over a hurdle, right? Morning, Lori, nice to see you. So what we're doing today, this is the very first edition of a brand new feature that we're doing here in the Consistent Income Creators Club, and that is to do a monthly content clinic. So I had asked last week or the week before, could have been a while ago, for some volunteers to send me posts that I would be able to use in this segment. And initially I was just going to do one. And because I got like 15 people reaching out, I thought, wow, This is high demand, so let's do a monthly feature. Okay, so we're going to do this every month on the first Monday of each month. And today we are looking at Audrey Hodges' post that she has shared with us. And I'm going to get to that in just a second, as soon as I figure out, frankly, where the heck I put it. All right, so I don't have Audrey's post on the screen in the sense of seeing it on Facebook. So what I've got, what I like to do is I like to use a whiteboard. So here is my whiteboard, and I don't know if you can see me or not. I don't know that it really matters, to be honest with you. But this was the original post that Audrey shared with us. Okay, so this was it right here. And as I was reading through it, I recognized very, very quickly this looks and sounds like a Joel Roberts dip post. And if you don't know who Joel Roberts is, he is a gentleman who used to be a talk show host who became a marketing and media guru who helps his clients to actually get on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So I'm thinking I'll post a link to one of his videos in the group right after this so you can understand what I'm talking about with a dip post. But really, dip posts are about sharing a transformation, right? So, being here, I'm here now, wasn't always this way, so glad I found. Okay, so that was my first impression of this post, is that it's kind of like this. So it's kind of nice. It meant that I was able to understand what the purpose is. The purpose of those posts is really to show transition, transformation, and to really bring forward the salient points, the most important points about what an experience has helped you to learn that is a transferable bit of wisdom. Okay, so that's really what the purpose of those posts is. And as I read this and read the whole thing, I realized that I think that's what Audrey was trying to do. She was trying to share some wisdom with people, right? But I got a little bit confused as I was reading it. And so that was one of the things that I really want to talk about. As I was looking at this post for Audrey, the thing I want to talk about today is around creating context and clarity in our message, and specifically by using headlines. So I'm going to share with you today. I'm in the, hold on, I can't read what that says, Taylor, just one second. You're in the top corner. I'm in the top corner, so I'm there. I want to talk about headlines today and how to write a really compelling headline. So as I took a first glance at this, one of the first pieces of feedback I wanted to offer that's a quick and easy kind of part of best practices. Facebook really likes to take out white space, and yet for ease of reading, a lot of white space is really desirable. So I am a reader. I'm a book person. I like to hold books in my hand. I love to read, even if I've got my Kobo. It's a different kind of Kindle. I don't even know if they still make those anymore, but even if I'm holding my Kobo, the thing about it is lots of white space. That's what I like. When I'm reading on a screen, and this is where I was going with that, when I'm holding a book in my hand, there's no glare coming off of it. Now, I have 53-year-old eyes, and in the last couple of years, I've suddenly needed glasses. But there's a lot of people in the world that have vision issues, right? Even if it is just a matter of having low vision, we don't have to be blind to have vision issues. With screens, with blue light, with all of those other things, what ends up happening is there's a big glare. Now, if you don't need glasses, this may not be something that occurred to you, and so this is why I'm sharing it. The glare that comes off the screen makes everything more blurry. And so by creating white space around the important parts of your text, each paragraph, by creating that white space, you're allowing the reader to have greater clarity and greater focus on the words that are on there, rather than all of the variety of things that are going on. Okay, so that's what I wanted to mention. I went and looked up a white space creator because in the mentorship group, one of the members of one of my clients had actually shared with us a white space creator. So I did go and look that up and see just how much difference did it really make. And I was disappointed. So I don't have a white space creator to share with you. Instead, I will suggest that just go along. You've probably seen the posts that have, return with a couple of spaces, and then there's a period in there. And the reason for this is if you are following the suggested idea of creating your posts off of Facebook. So whether you do that in Notepad or whether you do that in Word or Google Docs or any other kind of word processing software, when you then copy that over into Facebook, there's things happening in the background, the coding that's happening in the background of the program you created it in. When that gets copied over into Facebook, believe it or not, it's not just words that are going over there. There's actually code that's going over there as well. What ends up happening is that it gets confused. And so you have two choices. You can do copy and paste, like with a right click, and do paste as plain text, right? That's one option. And you may have better luck with the spacing. The other option is to simply copy it and then start going through and going return, space, space, return, space, space, period. Go to the next paragraph, return, space, space, return, space, space, period. It is tedious. It is really, really tedious. I get that. But that extra space helps your reader to feel invited to read. Imagine you're working with somebody that's not a reader, right? If you're talking or trying to reach a person who's not a reader, and there's this big wall of text, I want you to imagine how overwhelming that can be, right? So if you are thinking about visual people, they really like pictures to go with things. When you think about auditory people, a big block of words will be quite overwhelming, and they'll think, forget it, not doing it, moving on. So in order to create greater engagement, my number one tip for you is add lots and lots of white space. I would suggest that there should be at least 2 lines between every paragraph. Okay, that's my recommendation for it. That gives much greater invitation to people. I will say as well, reading comprehension, you've got to remember people's reading comprehension. Yours may be very, very strong. Your audiences may not be. There's a reason they suggest to us that we want to write anything in marketing at a grade 5 level. It is not because it's demeaning. It is because we have no understanding. My husband is a brilliant man. His reading comprehension is terrible. He and I can both read the same piece of information, and his understanding of it is incorrect. I don't even want to say it's a little bit off. It's like it can be completely incorrect. And it could be about the kinds of words that were chosen. It could be about the way grammar was inserted. It could be about the fact that he had to go back and reread the same line 5 times, right? So white space really helps people who don't have that reading comprehension to really get it a little bit better. So I hope that's really helpful for you. And helps you to understand. And it looks like from the comments, oh, that's why the white space. It is really to help the people who are visual and to help the people who don't have strong reading comprehension. Okay, now, that being said, what I want to talk about today is headlines. I love headlines. I cannot remember for the life of me where I got this formula that I'm about to show you. So I've chosen clarity and context simply because the way Audrey has started this post, she has started by explaining what the problem is that she wants to address. Okay, so has your schedule ever clashed with someone you really want to work with? You've followed them for months, you've signed up for their freebies and attended all their lives. You know working with them will help you find the answers you've been looking for. So you go to book a paid coaching call on their calendar, and there are no days or times that work for you. So you reach out to the coach and explain your situation, because after all, you work during the day and you can only do evenings, but they won't work with you because they have very firm boundaries and they only do calls at the scheduled times, no exceptions. Well, a small part of you admires them for sticking to their boundaries. Another part of you wishes they could have been flexible because you really wanted to work with them. So we've described the problem there, right? And off you go to find someone else you want to work with who is flexible or who has times that work with you. So there's the problem, then quick little solution. That was the solution. You kind of basically walked away. Then the next section is to say, I've been there, I've done that, I understand completely. So I created a solution to that in the form of Voxer Days. Here's what Voxer is, right? So here was my confusion. And I'm putting it this way because what I like to do when I'm editing a post, I put myself in your ideal client's shoes. One of the things that is really wonderful about being a true empath, I really can do that very quickly and easily. After a few discussions with you about who your ideal client is, I really can put myself in their shoes. And I can imagine what it is that they're experiencing when they read this. So my first reason for talking to clarity and context in this. We had a picture. Let me see if I can show you the picture. So we had a picture at the bottom that said book brainstorm. And then the disconnect for me, the instant one was, now we're talking about has your schedule ever clashed? So it didn't make a direct connection for me. Putting a headline in though could create the direct connection. Okay, so that's my reason for suggesting doing a headline. All right, so headlines will help you to create context and clarity. So in doing a post like this, where Audrey is talking about, hey, I've had this experience, I'm sure you have too. I've solved that problem for my clients by creating something called Voxer Days, which makes me available. And the other thing she's talked about in here is she has 1, 2, 3 reasons that adding a Voxer solves the problem, okay? There are 3 key reasons that Voxer, actually, the way she's worded it, 3 key reasons how Voxer is actually going to help to improve your outcomes from coaching. So yes, there's a bit in here about the flexibility. Yes, absolutely. But it goes beyond that. So in my mind, there were like 5 different things happening in here. And I felt, Audrey, just so you know, like I could have turned this into 2 or 3 different posts. However, I wanted to address this notion of adding a headline to make it all kind of like a tight little ball that all makes sense. So adding context and clarity, using the headline and the formula. So let's talk about headline formulas. All right. Once again, I really cannot remember where I got this from. And I'm just going to pull up my notes. Headlines. There it is. So what I've done is, let me do this one. So my first question that I asked myself is this an offer post or is this a credibility and community post? So let's come back up here. This formula to create a compelling headline, one that really draws in your reader, one that works very similarly to media ways of doing things, is to use this formula. Number, starting with a number in the very first, 1, 3, 12, 100, try to keep it a low number, but the number helps people understand, will this be a quick read or a long read? Okay, so that's why a number. Another option could be to use a trigger word, and the trigger words are questions. Why, how, what? I wouldn't go with who, I wouldn't go with when, just because they're not really action, okay? Why, how, and what though are action, and I would even take what out and I would say why and how. Those are the 2 trigger words that have the greatest impact, have the most, they inspire the most curiosity. Does that make sense? And our headline, our purpose in it is to grab attention. So one way is to create color. One way is to increase the size. One way is to make it bolder. One way is to change the font, right? So a headline should stand out from the rest of the body, but its purpose is to get enough curiosity to draw your readers in so that they want to read the rest of it. The other thing about the headline is it really should relate to the rest of it. And I hope I've talked about this before, but I have 3 questions that I always suggest that we ask ourselves each time we're sitting down to write. Who am I writing this for? And picturing that one person that we're writing it for. Why am I writing this? What's the purpose in writing this post? Am I giving information? Am I correcting a myth? Am I trying to get them to interact with me? Do I want them to know me better? So what's the purpose of creating this particular post? And then the third thing is, what do I want them to do when they're done reading? So the third piece of advice or third question to ask yourself is, After they're finished reading, what action do I want them to take? And so we would call that a call to action. Not all call to actions are book a call. Just saying, sometimes it's leave me a comment. Sometimes it's an open question that you ask that engages them and invites them to leave a response, right? So number, trigger, adjective, but oh yeah, why are we writing a headline? Sorry, sometimes I do this, right? Because I get off in tangents. I know you guys are used to it. I'm not worried about it. So coming back to the way to build that headline, I think you guys all understand why we write a headline. Coming back to the formula though, choose a number and try to make it a small number. Your intention with creating a headline is to create that curiosity, right? It's to draw people in. So what I want you to think of is, well, 3 quick and easy tips, 3 surprising reasons, 10 surprising reasons versus 3 surprising reasons. Would you? I think you'd be more likely to go with a 3 surprising reasons, right? And this is, so trying to keep it at 3 to 4, 2 is too few. Why waste my time? 5 is now getting to the point of, oh, maybe this is going to be too long to read. And unless you know that your ideal client and your ideal audience are readers and will stick to it and, you know, want to keep reading, I write long posts, and it's because I know my ideal client will read those long posts. If you don't think your ideal client will, shorten them up. So choosing a number, trying to keep it between 3 and 5. I hope that makes sense. You can drop me a comment if that part makes sense, or leave me a question if that doesn't make sense. So the trigger word is why or how. And the reason we're doing that is we're trying to add value. Value is something that I can take today, use today, and make a change, see an improvement, right? So that's what value really means. So how many pieces of information, how many pieces of advice, how many reasons, how many tips, if you will, or trigger words. So you don't use both, you use one or the other. 3 how? No. 3 why? No. So how and why, or how or why, or a number, then an adjective. And the adjective is to create excitement. It's to create pizzazz. It's for razzle dazzle, jazz hands. So it's for that reason, right? So what I've done is I've created this quick little list. This is by no means an exhaustive list of adjectives that you can use as you're creating headlines. All right, it's by no means an exhaustive list, but I've got that little list here. We're going to do this in just a second. Then the keyword. The keyword is, what is this post about? What is this post about? So in this case, this post was about scheduling conflicts. It was about Voxer and the flexibility of Voxer. It was about improving coaching outcomes. It was about, well, the inconvenience of scheduling, right? So there was lots of different little mini topics in here. So keyword, what is the 1 to 2 words that belongs in there that this post is about? That's the keyword. And then a promise. So the promise, you want to make it a little bit lofty but deliverable. So promises do not necessarily mean things like guarantees. So increase my availability, that's a promise. Without breaking boundaries, that's a promise. In less time, that's a promise, right? So what I've done is I've actually created 3 possible headlines that could have made sense for Audrey for this post. And I did that specifically using this formula, okay? You know, when you switch between whiteboard and then back to Word, anyway, they both move differently. So if we were to go through this together, and this would have been great to actually have Audrey on this with me. I should have thought of that. Sorry, Audrey, I should have thought of that. And then you could have been there to see this. You can, and I have a little exercise that's part of my Content That Converts program, which, by the way, I'm launching and announcing all of the fun ways, which is kind of interesting. Thank you to everybody who helped me to do market research. What I learned is, well, you'll see it in that rate card when I put it out. So one of the exercises that I've created for my content that converts is, do you remember when you were little and you used to cut out the little paper doll? Well, maybe I'm aging myself again, but like little paper dolls or little words, and you kind of move them around, or you'd sit around in a circle and everybody would kind of add a sentence or would add a word to a story. Do you remember those games that you would play when you were little? That's kind of the idea of this. So it's going to allow you to move words around and play with it until you get to a place that feels good for you. So the page that I've created for that course, it's got all kinds of numbers. It's got the trigger words. It's got a huge amount of adjectives. You will have to create your own keyword, but I've even got some promises in there, and you just kind of like start pulling them out of buckets. You kind of start pulling them out of bags and shifting them around on your table. Put magnets on them, put them up on your magnet board, whatever works for you guys. So that's what I would suggest for creating headlines. And in the meantime, having done exactly what I just described for you, taking those words, now I didn't actually cut them out in this case. I used my imagination to do that. But imagine how many more headlines I could have come up with had I been switching around. And let's see. Oh, look at that. I don't have an adjective. So this should be 3 amazing ways. 3 super simple reasons. 3 super simple reasons. Okay, well, I don't know. Surprising ways, tools to help you serve more clients, right? There you go. So it kind of uses that philosophy again with using the adjectives. But what I want you to imagine is, in a brainstorm session, imagine you are sitting down for yourself and you know that you are going to speak to a particular topic, and you can write down, and you can just write the name of the topic on a little piece of paper and put it on the table. And then you can pull out all of your piles of words and you can kind of start moving them in and out. You can, what about surprising? What about painstaking, right? And the headlines, you want to do one of 2 things. You either want to you want to create improvement, or you want to reduce inconvenience. And so this is why I went in a couple of ways here. So surprising tools to help you serve more clients in less time. I'm saving you something. I'm reducing something. 3 super simple reasons I created Voxer Days to increase my availability. So those 2 are almost like 2 flip sides of a coin, aren't they? More availability, less time, kind of very similar. But you can go back and forth. And again, how Voxer improves availability without breaking boundaries, because one of the things that Audrey talked about was this whole notion of inflexibility as an attachment to our boundaries, which, by the way, I don't think is a bad thing. I don't mean to imply that at all. Or here, how using Voxer creates more breakthroughs. You could create significantly more brainstorming breakthroughs. 3 amazing ways that Voxer creates significantly more brainstorming breakthroughs. Now, more is a little bit vague, but that's okay. So I want to ask anybody who's watching, because I do see there's still a few people watching, does this make sense in terms of how to create a headline? Have I made sense about why you want to use a headline to create context, to create clarity, to draw people in? Have I explained well how to use this formula to create headlines? Maybe I didn't use that well. Maybe you need to get my $27 self-paced home study course. I don't know. You tell me. It helped, Karen. I'm so glad. Thank you. I'm so glad. So I'm going to just stop sharing the screen for a moment. Come back to you full screen. Hello. So when it comes to creating headlines, when it comes to creating your content, the one thing that I know is really hard for us to kind of wrap our heads around is that we are not writing it for us. We are writing it for other people, and they are coming to us from a variety of backgrounds. They're coming to us from a variety of experiences, goals, values, right? So it can be really difficult. And this is one of the reasons that I suggest to people to remove filler and fluff words. Filler and fluff words actually can reduce clarity. I know we think that adds clarity because it's more descriptive. If we have a 4-word analogy or metaphor and we can turn that into one word that makes more sense, that's better. The fewer words a person needs to read, the shorter the post is, the more likely a person is to read it. Even a reader. Here's the other thing. If you are jumping around, so this is again about clarity and context. If you're jumping around from topic to topic within the post, you will typically lose your reader because they got confused. And I'm sure you've heard this a million times. This is a pretty popular phrase, a confused mind will never buy. So if we are creating confusion by speaking to more than one topic within a post, that in itself can be the reason that people are not reaching out and engaging. Okay, I hope that was helpful. All right, well, this actually went really well. I'm so surprised. I even stuck to my time limit. I never stick to my time limit. Huge win for the day. Danielle stuck to the 30 minutes that she intended to. So Audrey, I want you to know that you are going to be receiving additional feedback from me. I will be creating a video and some written feedback for you to help. I will in that feedback also include a suggested way that it could have been rewritten. And I would love to know if you do end up putting that rewrite up, I want to know, how did that change things? Just because, you know, I like to experiment and I love to track data. So there you go. All right, everybody, remember, I do have a few other posts that have already been sent to me for volunteering to be part of this segment, but I'm always wanting to receive. You know what would be really great? Imagine I can see a consistent pattern of one challenging issue that's happening. Then I can actually say, pattern, here we go. Let me share why that is one thing that can be quickly and easily fixed. Kind of like the headlines, right? That's the purpose of this segment. I hope you found it useful. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. And exciting news, I am launching a specifically content creation set of offers, and I'll be releasing those on Wednesday. One of them is a 3-day workshop where we will intensely, for a total of 18 hours over 3 days, we will sit and we will, as a group, it's a group workshop, we will pound out as much content as we absolutely can. Day 1 is about creating the kind of clarity you need in your ideal client and your offer. So we will sit together as a group and we will go through how to actually define that clarity. There will be a little bit of homework that you'll do in advance so that I can provide you with some feedback before we get to the workshop. Day 2 is going to be all about the specific frameworks and templates I use to create posts that prevent objections, compel people to read them, convert them in the DMs. I have to be honest with you, I haven't had a sales call in months. And even though I love selling, I haven't needed one. So my understanding is that especially the introverts of the world don't want to have sales calls. That's kind of the goal of my style of writing content. Day 3, though, in that content that converts workshop, day 3 is all about literally sitting down and writing with my eyes, with your peers' eyes, all of us making suggestions, all of us having the opportunity, right? So we'll have breakout rooms where we're sitting and doing brainstorming. We'll have exercises that we're doing. We're going to do a component of understanding our core values to make sure that everything we're writing about lines right back into that. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I'm so excited about this 3-day workshop. Imagine getting 4 months of learning into 3 days. How awesome is that? All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I've talked for 3 more minutes than I meant to. Let me know in the comments if you found this helpful. If you would like me to add more in terms of the kind of feedback that I provided in this, if there was something I wasn't clear about and you've got questions, leave them for me and I will come back to them. And as always, if you'd like to talk to me about working with me, you know where to reach me. Send me a DM. Thanks so much, everybody. Happy Monday. Bye for now.